I'm 45 years old, man. There's a lot of going on.
It's a great night to be a Tiger. I'm here with my family.
Come on, man.
Juwan Dixon.
We're all taking receipts on all the people who continually mock and say that we ain't going to do anything. I'm taking receipts.
While maybe there isn't a quarterback controversy in Green Bay or Tampa Bay, you can definitely say that the quarterbacks in those cities and for those teams have not had a great season. And starting with the Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay Packers bad season, and honestly, both quarterbacks in general, both Rodgers and Brady just kind of seem out of it. Like they don't really want to be there, but they don't really have anything else to do, so they're just kind of playing football, and I don't know, they're having an off year. A very, very, very off year. Rodgers and the Packers are in the midst of a 3-game losing streak and have seemed to get progressively worse and worse in every single one of those losses. I mean, the Giants game, when they were right there, they were just on the verge of finishing that one off and winning and taking down a good Giants team. And then they played the Jets, who are kind of a team that is looking to prove everybody wrong. And Robert Saleh is keeping receipts, and I guess you could make a receipt entry for a cheese head as Sauce Gardner walks off the field with one there, and they lose that one to the Jets, and that game was ugly. And then probably the ugliest one of all, this past week's loss to the Washington Commanders. I mean, how much worse can it get? I mean, are they going to lose to the Lions in a couple of weeks? It's not looking good for the Green Bay Packers. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, well, they've arguably been playing much worse. They are only on a 2-game losing streak, but they could, or maybe even should be, on a 4-game losing streak if it weren't for the Grady Jarrett roughing the passer penalty call 2 weeks ago. They're 3-4. Their 3 wins come over Dallas in week 1. And again, back then, Dallas was that was a bad game for Dallas. They beat the Saints, who are not a very good team either, and they beat the Atlanta Falcons in Week 5, all thanks to Jerome Boger calling a roughing the passer on Grady Jarrett. Their losses have come to Green Bay in Week 3. They looked awful in that game. Kansas City in Week 4, that was just a shootout, and Kansas City just, outplayed them offensively. Week 6, they lost in a incredibly ugly game to the Steelers, and then this past week, probably one of the more embarrassing losses in Tampa Bay Buccaneers franchise history came to the Carolina Panthers. And I just have one question. How on earth do you lose to the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Carolina Panthers? And in most seasons, I would not be saying how in the world do you lose to the Pittsburgh Steelers, but it rings true this season. How in the world to them, not only to them, but the Panthers, how? How do you lose to the Carolina Panthers? I mean, the Panthers have got to be having one of the worst seasons in franchise history. I mean, the Panthers? How do you lose?
Come on, man.
They just fired their coach. They're starting P.J. Walker, who, if all the quarterbacks were healthy, he would have been a third-string quarterback. They just traded their best running back, Christian McCaffrey. I mean, how do you lose to them? Not only lose, but not score a touchdown? You lose 21-3 to the Carolina Panthers? What? What? And at this point, it's an overreaction to say that they might miss the playoffs? I mean, if you can't beat the Panthers, how are you going to tell me that team should make the playoffs?
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
Yeah. I mean, the Panthers? 21-3? When you have Tom Brady, Godwin, Evans, and I get that Julio Jones once again has been injured and just hasn't played at all, and it's time for him to retire, no doubt in my mind there, but What? How do you... I don't get it. I don't get it.
Come on, man.
The blame goes all around at the end of the day. Everyone is just from Brady to the running game to the coaching. I mean, it's bad. It's bad. It is very, very bad. And everyone is so quick to jump on Tom Brady's case and say, "Oh, he's terrible and he's god awful." And all right, you want to get on him and you want to say that he's having a down year. I'm fine with that. And you want to get on him a little bit and you want to attribute some of the blame to him. Fine. Rightfully so. Do so. But are there not 100 other people that it takes to have a successful football team? Is it just the quarterback that matters? Because if I'm not mistaken, there are, 7 offensive linemen that are starting, a few backups, an entire defense, coaching, coordinators, front office, GM, wide receivers, tight ends, running backs. If those other pieces fail, are we really supposed to just expect one quarterback to fix everything? No. But am I really supposed to sit here and ignore the fact that Tom Brady's not having a good season? Absolutely not. He's not having a good season. And Mike Evans should have definitely caught that touchdown, caught that ball. That would have been a touchdown, no doubt in my mind. And okay, that brings up to 21-10. Congratulations, you get a touchdown. But not traveling with the team, taking off on Wednesdays, severely distancing himself from the team, divorce, partying on Bob Kraft's wedding, not traveling with the team that week, warming up away from the team in the game, before the game, and then after all that, you have the the confidence, you dare go over to the offensive line in Pittsburgh last week, and you just absolutely berate them and berate your team for not playing well. Given those circumstances, I mean, if you're sticking your neck out for this team and you're doing everything you possibly can to ensure a successful season, and you're having a Hall of Fame caliber season, and you're having, a record-breaking season, and you're doing absolutely everything that you can to make this the best season possible, and everybody else is not picking up their weight, okay, fine. If that's the scenario, then sure, go ahead and let people know that they need to start picking up their weight. But let's not act like Tom Brady is doing everything in his power to make this the best season Tampa Bay has ever had. Because he's not. He is not being a good leader, which over the part of his career you could argue has been a huge reason for his future Hall of Fame status. He has not been a great leader. His play on the field has been NFL wise expectation for an NFL quarterback has been average and average to good, but for Tom Brady's standards, his play has been bad. For what we expect out of Tom Brady, his play has been bad. For what we expect out of every other NFL quarterback, it's been average to good. But let's take a look at some other aspects of this as well, because as I mentioned, it doesn't just take one quarterback to have a successful team. There is absolutely no running game in Tampa Bay. Leonard Fournette, he's a third down back. That's really all he can. That's all he really should be expected to be at this point. You need a few yards up the middle. You're on the 2-yard line on 1st and goal. Okay, fine, hand it off to him. But he is not some elite running back, elite force like he was in college and in his first few years out of college. He's not that quick, speedy, explosive guy like he once was. And if they had traded for Christian McCaffrey, does maybe that solve the running game a little bit? Yeah, maybe. I'd be willing to hear that argument, and I'd be willing to say, yeah, you get Christian McCaffrey, it's an upgrade. It may not be a game-changing upgrade, as I don't think it really is a game-changing upgrade for the Niners, but for a team that is about as desperate as it gets for a running game, McCaffrey would have been a good start, at least for this season. Time to start looking at coaching? Yeah, of course. Not gotten off to a great start with Todd Bowles as the head coach. Does this come back on Byron Leftwich a little bit? Maybe, potentially. But let's look at it this way. Not much has changed on this team. Brady, Godwin, Evans, Fournette were all on the team last year. Much of their defense has returned. I think almost all of their defense is the same as it was last year. Todd Bowles was on the coaching staff last year. Byron Leftwich was the offensive coordinator. Bruce Arians was the head coach last year. Now he's in a front office role. Like, everybody is, for the most part, everybody is still there. I don't think you can point to one specific thing and say, if they fix that, they're going to be great. This is a very complex issue in Tampa Bay where I think across the board, expectations are not being met and jobs are not being done. Everybody in Tampa needs to start pulling their weight, and now is not the time for finger pointing. Now is not the time for Tom Brady to go over to his offensive line in Pittsburgh and start throwing a fit. Brady needs to be a better leader. The coaching probably needs to call better plays. And they need to figure out the run game. End of story. And, I mean, it honestly, and we're going to get to this in the next segment, but and their division is terrible, right? So that's their saving grace, is that their division is not very good. But even with that, even with not being in a great division, they still might not win the division, which is a crazy thing to think about, but it's possible. And who knows, maybe after today I'll extend my Jaguars curse to the Falcons, as, you know, let's not forget, a few weeks ago I was saying, hey, the Jaguars legitimately could win the division, and now they're 2-5, and the Titans and they're in third place. The Titans are in first place at a 4-2 record, and the 3-1 Colts are in second place, and the Jaguars all of a sudden are looking no better than what they have in the past 10 years. Maybe that curse is going to be extended to the Atlanta Falcons in the next segment. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see on that, because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are in trouble. It's no longer an overreaction to say that the Packers are going to lose the division, and I also don't think it's an overreaction to say that the Packers and BUCS might miss the playoffs. The NFC is not looking great overall, which might be their saving grace, and in any other year, playing like this would be an almost certain way to not make the playoffs, but they still have about half the season left to go. There's still time for these teams to turn things around, but I don't know if they have what it takes to turn things around.